Welcome to deadline day. Time has almost come for the first football match of the Premier League season to kick off, but something that's even more important than Crystal Palace versus Arsenal is fantasy football. We're here. I'm joined today by three of my esteemed guests. We're going to be going through the trials and tribulations of this season's fantasy football as part of the league, the FPL Big Dawgs. So that's going to be the name. Woof! That's the name everyone has to do. FPL Big Dawgs. There's over 2,000 competitors in the FPL Big Dawgs League this year. We're going to be giving shout outs to many. Am I Jim White in disguise? You know what? Jim White with better hair. Enough about me. You know, I've got such a great panel today. To my right or my left, I've got Omar. How you doing?
Mate, I'm excited. You know what? That Premier League buzz. I woke up today and it's the one day of the year that rivals Christmas Day, the beginning of the Premier League season. And you know what? There's no better way than spending it with you guys, talking FPL, talking about how Gabriel Jesus is going to be the flop of the year. I'm here. I'm ready. Bring the heat.
The sound bites have started already. It's, you know,
disappointed with that
one. 77 past 5 has started. And Bilal out there sweating it out, not just over your fantasy football team, but because you have kindly joined us all the way from
Morocco, man. I'm out here. Yeah, just on a little holiday. So yeah, in Morocco, hopefully the Wi-Fi doesn't, kick me out. So yeah, hopefully it lasts and we can sweat even more about what our FPL teams are saying. But yeah, today for me, FPL deadline, then I got my team playing Arsenal. So yeah, it's a sweaty day indeed.
Ooh, Palace fan.
Arsenal, man, come on.
I thought you said Palace, my bad.
Yeah,
that's tough for you today,
I'm a Palace hater. I'm a Palace hater for
You're
today.
a Palace hater today. Yeah. Bun Willie Zaha. We don't like him.
After this, though, I can't lie. Palace, the good vibe. So I'll be there for after this week, but no, not today.
Sweet. And then finally, the man with the baddest beard. I thought I had a good beard. I thought it was well groomed, but I have nothing on you, Brush. Welcome to the panel. How you doing?
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And like Omar touched on, it's fantastic, man. Season starting. Good times. Well, being a United fan, this is probably the best moment I'll have in like 2 weeks' time. I'll just want it all to be over.
I hope so. As a Liverpool fan, I really do hope so. But as for today, I do hope that we can, everyone enjoys this. It's a neutral venue here today on the FPL Big Dawgs. We're not gonna wear our colours today, but what we are gonna do is we are gonna justify our FPL teams. Now, we've all been going back and forth over this over a number of weeks. I think I've probably made 10,000 changes. I'm sure my employer will probably look at my browser usage on how many times I put in fantasy football changing teams in the middle of meetings. But, I think we've now come to a conclusion. And we'd love to hear from you as well in the chat. Those that have entered, those that are arriving, please, if you wouldn't mind liking the stream. This is going to be one of a series of weekly shows. We're doing it today on Friday because, of course, it is deadline day. For those that aren't aware, 6:30 is when you need to agree on your team. Don't try and do it at 6:29 because we all know what happens at 6:29. The site crashes. Everybody starts talking about conspiracy theories. So we're going to try and help you get to your team before 6:30, and we're hopefully going to give you some inspiration along the way. And the first team today that we're going to inspire you with is Bilal's.
Okay, start with me, yeah? Okay, pressure.
Pressure. Before we start with you, actually, Bilal, give us your history of fantasy football, playing the game. Have you played the game before? Is this your
to be fair, like recently, last few seasons, I've just been playing the draft mode primarily. And the draft mode is not really as intense as I say as, like the actual proper fantasy. So with the draft mode, you get sort of, you pick with your friends, you have one player, you lock them in for the whole season. The only way to switch players is like negotiating with your friends in terms of, listen, I want your player. It becomes like a bit of like, you've got some friends who are like Daniel Levy, very stingy. You've got some who are just willing to sell. But yeah, you got to find the right deals. But with this now coming into fantasy, this is a bit of a throwback. This is the original way of playing. This is the proper way of playing. And yeah, I'm excited to actually do it the proper way. And the demand for this league as well, the big Dawgs league, it's been crazy. I think over 2,000 people already have joined. So it's going to be a great, great season. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun playing this.
No, absolutely. I love your enthusiasm already. And just wanted to give a massive shout out as well to Fantasy Football Fix. These guys have got crazy amounts of data. If you're really into your data, if you want to have an algorithm to help you make your decisions week in, week out, they have a paid service on their website. I think it's fantasyfootballfix.com. Go check them out. They've kindly allowed us to use their data today. They even link up with Opta data stats as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you the team and we're going to show you the points that the AI has essentially provided for us. So the predictor, so the computer says, well, how many points Bilal's about to get. So Oms, if you could pull that bad boy back up and let's get into it. Brush, I'm going to come to you first and get your opinions.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, is this Bilal's team?
Yeah, that's my team.
Yeah, Bilal's team. Brush, I'm going to come to you first.
Yes.
First, so the AI says he's going to hit 50 points this week.
Okay.
With this team. My first question to you really is surprises and thoughts behind the reasoning why Bilal may have picked him.
Right. Well, I think Bilal is the best person to explain that. So does he want to give us a quick rundown of the team?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick rundown. So I'll start with the keeper, gone Robert Sanchez in goal, Brighton. Brighton, for the most part, the issues last season really was trying to put the ball in the back of the net. But defensively, they're actually a really good team. They keep the ball really well. And Sanchez himself is a wicked goalkeeper. I'm actually surprised. A lot of teams haven't been in for him. I was expecting like a Man United to maybe come in for him this summer. He's an unbelievable goalkeeper. He's doing bits for Spain as well now. So yeah, Robert Sanchez for me in goal. I think it goes without saying. He's a top keeper. I really rate him. And yeah, I think he'll get that big move soon. In terms of the defense now, I've just gone for stat padding galore here. Listen, I'm not going for your typical centre backs. I don't know. Like, for example, to be fair, you could go with centre back. Let's say Gabriel Magalhaes at Arsenal. He scored like 5 goals last season. It's a decent return. But we're talking fullbacks here, attacking fullbacks. And there's no one better than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Best right back in the world for me. And straight into my team. It was the first choice, him, pretty much into my team. Trent Alexander-Arnold, assists, goals. I think goals this season might even come more than previous seasons. Even the Community Shield, we saw what he did. I think Trent's going to have another massive season. Got next to him, Reece James, of course. And there's talks of him this season potentially playing as a right centre-back. And, that could hamper, the points that I could get with this team. But if he does play as a wing-back, as he traditionally has done, I think, Reece James will be a serious player. We all know what Reece James is about, up and down that touchline, coming inside sometimes, left foot, right foot. Great player. And again, got Trippier in here. Similar sort of stuff. He takes the set pieces for Newcastle, free kicks, corners. Got injured towards a few weeks into pretty much joining Newcastle, but in that few games that he played, we saw what he did, and the free kicks, the set pieces, the leadership. Trippier is an unbelievable fullback as well, and that's 3 English right backs right there, pretty much. So it shows how blessed England are in that position. In terms of the left back now, gone Zinchenko, and Zinchenko's an interesting one. Could play left back some games, could play centre mid some games. And I think he's going to be a really good, for most teams, I think his price he's not too pricey right now. So I think it's a great pickup if anyone's looking for a left back. In terms of the right wing now, of course, you have to go King, the Mohamed Salah, straight away in the right wing. That guy is probably going to be top goal scorer once again. And I just see him having another massive season. New contract, new hairstyle, new everything. Salah's looking good. He's in my team straight away. You can't go wrong. I think he's the most expensive player as well. He's at 13.5 million. So he is pricey, but he's worth every single penny. With Mane gone as well, the burden's even more on him to deliver, with Diaz and New Darwin, still maybe settling in a little bit. Next to him, there is Jared Bowen as well. West Ham. I'd say the main threat on the counter attack. Bowen, I don't know what you guys think about him. For me, he's a top player in terms of what he does on the transitions. And I think, again, he's going to have another massive season for West Ham. In the centre mid position now, I've got Jack Grealish in there. And listen, it's now or never for Jack, really. He's got to get the numbers up. Sterling's gone. Jesus is gone. He's got to deliver now. Goals, assists. I know they struggled now. The Cucurella's gone to Chelsea. So, an attacking fullback would help Grealish in the sense that he'd give him that option on the overlap. So for me, Jack Grealish, I think, he's worth not a gamble, but he's worth having in your team because he's probably going to be the one playing left wing week in, week out, while Haaland is there trying to score them sweaty goals. So for me, Jack Grealish is that guy. And the next midfielder, Bruno Guimaraes, another Newcastle player. And for me, as an Arsenal fan, I really want him to come to my team. I was looking at him since he was at Atletico Paranaense, I believe. And then he went on to Lyon. And still Arsenal not coming in for him for some reason. And Newcastle have shown why Arsenal probably should have spent the money on him last season. He was unbelievable. Can play pretty much, I think he can play all across the midfield pretty much. He can play as the deepest one. He can play as a box-to-box one. He can probably play as a number 10 if you let him. He's a top player. And I just think this season he's going to be the heartbeat of that Newcastle midfield once again. And up front, I've gone with the most picked man, I think, in FPL history, Gabriel Jesus. My guy, Gabriel Jesus, this season, the main man playing this freedom role at Arsenal, the number 9, but he's not really the number 9. He's just everywhere. And for me, the work rate, the finishing, everything about Jesus this season, it's just screams someone who's going to score so many goals. And I think for 8 million, that's why people have picked him. And next to him, you got the big Norwegian, big transfer, big name, big signing, Erling Haaland. And for me, another top player, top potential. And even though he had a bit of a stinker in the Community Shield, you saw how many chances he actually did get. And he's not going to miss them many chances every single game. I just see him killing the Premier League as well. So for me, that's my team. Maybe took a bit long to get there, but hopefully that's given some people an insight into my thinking. And what do you guys think about my team?
Well, Brush, I'm going to go with you first. I mean, what are your initial thoughts on Bilal's team?
Listen, overall, I think it's a very decent start. My only concern, funny enough, it's a concern I have with my team as well. So me and Bilal share that. Are you worried by a lack of Tottenham coverage?
No. That's my answer. No.
Okay.
Listen, Nana, listen.
Club colours
This is my bias. No, this is just my biasness coming out. Listen.
Also, honestly, are you concerned by Pep Roulette? Because I think that's something that's going to come to haunt all of us at some point.
Yeah, and this is a problem that's what I've tried to kind of limit the Man City players I've had in. Haaland is guaranteed he's going to play every single game. There's no one else who's taking Haaland out of that team.
Do you think so?
Grealish, Haaland's going to play week in, week out, man.
Bro, but they've got Alvarez now as well, man.
Alvarez,
and he looks good,
He looks good, but I feel like he's going to be the Jesus. He's a new Jesus he's a striker, but he's going to end up filling in the left wing, the right wing here and there, being someone really quick on the transitions. Haaland is that main man. He has to play week in, week out. I don't see Pep dropping him. He's going to use him. He's going to abuse him. He's going to make sure he understands the system this season. He's going to give him a run of games in Champions League as well. Maybe when the Champions League comes around, we can have a debate where the rotation comes in then. But for the most part, I think Haaland's going to play. But with Grealish, Pep Roulette, possible. And especially with Foden on the left wing, I've been saying Foden, he could take over that left wing position really and truly.
What made you go with Grealish over Foden?
I just have a feeling that 100 million price tag on Grealish's head, the pressure he's had, the fact that he's had to settle in for one season where he kind of struggled a little bit, the fact that Man City as well are looking for a proper attacking left back, it just suggests to me that Grealish, that left-hand side, is going to be his. Because if they don't get a proper left back in, then you can go Foden, the left foot out wide, dragging teams out like that. But if they get a proper attacking left back who overlaps constantly, Grealish is going to be their left winger. So that's how I'm looking at the situation. And the fact that they've sold so many players as well, Grealish is going to get minutes regardless, So I don't think you can go wrong. But that's why I've gone for these guys.
Phil Foden's an interesting one. So Phil Foden's ownership as it stands is only 6.2%. He's £1 million more than Jack Grealish. So Jack Grealish is in this weird £7 million midfielder bubble where there's not a lot of flexibility, right? I mean, if Jack Grealish does have a bit of a, like you said, gets stuck with the Pep Roulette, the players that you've got available to yourselves are players like Zaha. Obviously, Rafinha's gone now. Barnes is injured. There's a question mark apparently. Oh, Sanchez 7.5. You got Coutinho at 7 million as well. Bernardo Silva might be leaving shortly. So it's quite interesting that the £7 million price tag for midfielders this season leaves less room to maneuver, if that makes sense, because it's a case of I don't know what the hell's going on with the game if they've got something against the £7 million price tag or something.
Yeah,
but it seems that like 3 or 4 of these players have gone, and now you're literally stuck in here. I've got a weird feeling Haaland's going to flop. Although it might just be wishful thinking, I think it's more wishful thinking. I think Manchester City's create so many chances that how could you not? Do you know what I mean? You know, we could all score a goal eventually at Man City if we played in that particular team. Arms, I'm going to come to you. Like, what's your early thoughts on Bilal's team?
Oh, you're mute.
You're mute. Yes, he's done the key. Amazing. It used to be my thing.
It was only right for me to do it on your show, bro. It's only right. Yeah. Oh wow, interesting team. I mean, of course, you guys will find out. I am not in the Jesus. I'm in the minority. I'm in the 25%. Call it what you want. I think it's interesting. The Haaland Grealish link. I like. There is a connection there. We saw it in preseason a bit. I think Grealish will start just because he has been that front three's been Mahrez, Haaland, and Grealish. So I think for now that left wing spot is Grealish's. Again, the Bruno one as well. I haven't seen much of Newcastle. Where is he going to play? Is he going to be that marauding midfielder that gets into the box and all of a sudden he looks value for money? Like we saw with Souček. We've seen it with players like Dele Alli, players that can put up big FPL points when they're even as cheap options in midfield. Defense, Reece James and Zinchenko, I sort of stayed away from simply because I think Zinchenko, I don't know how his output's going to be. He's not. I think I see him tucking in a lot and sort of being a ball retention player for Arsenal. I don't see him adding output, and I don't know, can Arsenal early days lock up some clean sheets? If they do, looks a great option. But I've gone with I've saved 0.5 there because I think they will start with Ben White as a sort of right centre back sort of guy. Other than that, I do like the team. I think Jared Bowen I stayed away from simply because West Ham haven't had the brightest start to pre-season. So they haven't had the brightest pre-season. So can we... I feel there's better value for money with 8 million. For me, Luis Diaz, that's the guy. It's Liverpool. You're going to get chances. I know he's not had the best pre-season, but he's another one that I'm pretty confident when it comes to the actual league games, he's going to be in and around the goal. So I think there's better value for money at 8 million. So yeah, but really, it's an interesting team. I do like the sort of I think look, Salah, Trent, Haaland, Grealish. I think it's a bit of a trend in FPL having players that sort of link up with players and putting them in your team. So yeah, I like the team, man.
So I'm gonna have to ride for Bilal and Jared Bowen. Interesting statistic with Jared Bowen. Only 7.1% ownership, despite the fact he racked up 206 fantasy football points last season. He's on set pieces. He's also on penalties, I do believe, right? He's West Ham's main penalties taker. And they've just signed a very large man up front. So that the interesting ones you said about with Jared Bowen, not feeling his preseason. He did.
You're turning my head, man. Let me get back now.
I don't know how much we can put onto preseason though, to be honest. But yeah, he's definitely going to be one of their main threats and main point earners. I think maybe the low percentage ownership is perhaps due to the price point. You know, where there are certain cheaper options at bigger clubs. So that's probably why he's being overlooked. The Grealish one is interesting, and I'll tell you why I stayed away from Grealish. I do think he's going to get minutes, but he's the kind of player where he can very easily have a good game, but without a goal or an assist, which is brilliant in real life. But when it comes to fantasy football, it's a bit sticky. So that was my concern with him, especially like you had mentioned, Keith. If Bernardo Silva moves on as well, you know, he's a dead cert, and you got to question how he's going to link up with Haaland. That could potentially be deadly.
Like Om's use the Love Island terminology. There's a connection there. There's definitely a connection there.
I love that. This little Love Island FC going on over here.
Always. Well, Bilal, thank you so much for sharing your team. The AI predicts, as I said, they say 50 points for you. You're going with Salah as captain, is that right?
Yeah, Salah captain. I put Jesus vice, and yeah, that's what I'm going with. You gotta go Salah captain. Come on, like you can't not. Come on.
Well, we will reveal later on just how many people have gone for Salah captain. So if you get it right, if you get it wrong, you could be in big trouble. But if Salah blanks and someone is sly enough to put it on someone else, then they're going to the top spot straight away. But
exactly.
I'm with you. I don't know. I ain't got the guts for it at the moment, man. I even tried to talk no Salah picks earlier in the WhatsApp group when we were talking.
I was like, this is a brave man.
Yeah, I lost my bollocks. Sorry.
Funny enough, Keith, when we actually looked at your team, it looked very good. Just because it shows you how much money Salah takes up, right? Because without that 13 million taking up the funds, the rest of the team looked awesome. But it's Mo Salah, and he can punish you. So yeah, I think you did the right thing.
Yeah, especially as a man who won the Golden Boot and also won the Golden Assist as well. That's just it's like the guy's an FPL dream, and I think even he knows now as well.
And he fell off as well after the second half of the season. So could you imagine if he just stays on it?
Interesting point. You said
point.
This. So there was a guy on YouTube. He came on, the guy who won FPL, and he was like 10,000 in the position 10,000 at the beginning of January. And he took the decision to get rid of Salah in January and start bringing in all these other premiums. And he ended up shooting up to the top. So,
to do that in January is very brave.
Yeah.
Because at that time, he was the best player in FPL.
Well,
that's a crazy. Well, it would felt like a crazy decision if someone else did it. Because from August last season to December, Salah was
the first couple of months, man. He was just on beast mode.
He was Joe Watford, Man City. I just remember him just killing every team he played against. So yeah.
Listen, against Wolves, I remember it was a tight game where you guys won 1-0, and he made something out of nothing for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a Origi goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Brush, I'm going to come to you next.
Right.
Oh, by the way, before I continue, Bilal, what is your fantasy football team's name?
Literally, it's just TFS, Top Football Show. Kept it simple. Same as my Twitter link, same as my YouTube link. So yeah, easy for me to remember, to be honest. Otherwise, I put a different name, I just end up forgetting. So yeah, that's the name.
Cool, nice one.
Which Brush, do you have Bone in your team as well?
I don't know.
Okay, so
it's only me and Keith, I think, isn't it?
You're the Lingard. You are the Lingard.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Let me just get you. I don't want you hidden.
Right. So there we go, bro. So again, the predictor also thinks you're going to get 50 points. Talk us through this team.
Right. Okay. So Pickford is my goalkeeper of choice. I was always going to go for a £4.5 million goalkeeper just to save money for elsewhere. The reason I went for Pickford is not because I think he's going to get loads of clean sheets, but I think the shots are going to be raining down on him. So I'm hoping for some save points. The rest of the defense speaks for itself. Trent, we know what he can do. It's a bit of a joke that he's even classified as a defender when you look at his output. So even despite the price tag, it's a no-brainer for me. You have to have Trent in your team. James is there as well because, like Bilal touched on, provided he's played in the right position, goal and assist threat. With the added bonus of clean sheets, obviously. So he's there as well. Trippier, before he got injured, he was on an absolute madness. He was also on set pieces as well. So, yeah, that's why I've gone for the defenders I have. Midfield-wise, Salah, captain as well. No-brainer, that one. Doesn't really need much explanation. The rest of the midfield, Jesse Lingard, bit of a wild card, but I'm going kind of off of what we saw at West Ham. and just knowing that he's going to get a starting berth at Nottingham Forest. So, and he comes in at 6 million, so it's nice and reasonable. The other two, Pedro Neto is there because, well, 5.5 million in that category. I think he's a very good signing, especially because Wolves seem to be selling off a lot of players as well. Their squad is very small at the moment. And Pedro Neto is a player who's a dead set to start. So hopefully there should be some kind of return there. Sancho, he's had a very good pre-season. Being a United fan, I thought, you know what, I need to be a bit invested, have one of the boys in there at least to start off with, and that's why he slides in. I did initially have Kulusevski, but I had to swap him out partly to fit in my front three. And as you can see, I've gone very top heavy with my front three. The reason I've started off this way is because it's a lot easier to downgrade if you want to once you've got these big money players in your team. Whereas if you're trying to get them afterwards, you need to make multiple transfers, maybe take point hits, and it's more difficult to do. And especially with the popularity of these players as well. If any of them score on the weekend, you best believe they're going to rise in price. So I've gone for Darwin Núñez. I know in pre-season he's bagged a fair few goals. He has come on as a sub. So he may not start actually this weekend. I have a sneaky suspicion it might be Bobby Firmino, but it's one of those that I've just taken a gamble, gone with it. I'm happy to stick with it long term, give it a couple of weeks. Gabriel Jesus, the most popular man in the game. It's the price point he comes in at. He's been absolutely killing it in pre-season. If he can take any of that form into the season, then that'll be an absolute bargain. Now Haaland is one that I had to keep debating. It was a toss-up between him and Harry Kane for me. I actually think the smart money would be the sensible move would actually be Kane, but I've gone for Haaland just because of the explosiveness and probably because he's a new signing. So I think it's always exciting when a new player arrives and you want to see how they do. And I didn't want to be left behind if he comes on and randomly scores a brace against West Ham.
And his fixtures as well, man. City's first 8 games are just so City-fied.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just going to destroy everybody's confidence. They're just going to destroy everybody's soul. There's going to be fans dreaming tonight about, we're all on 0 points. We're all on 0 goals.
That's what it is, absolutely. And obviously, there's going to be an adjusting time for any player coming into the Premier League. But when you look at City's fixtures, there's no better 10 fixtures, perhaps, for a new striker to come into than that.
Yeah, absolute joke. Well, interesting stats about Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto seems to be a very popular choice. 18.3%. More people own Pedro Neto than they own Jared Bowen, despite the fact that Pedro Neto has, in the last few seasons, only ever got past 100 point once, where he hit 124 points in 2020-2021 and only racked up 22 points last season. So, Brush, I'm guessing this is more of a price point, right? This is
absolutely. He's an enabler who allowed me to just upgrade in other areas. That's why he's there. I just know that he's going to get minutes because of the short squad size, and pretty much anything he gives me is just a bonus, really. Obviously, he had that terrible injury as well, and he was out for large parts of the season, which is why the points total last season was so low. But anything can happen, bro. In the next couple of weeks, we'll see who starts to emerge. He may get downgraded further. He may get upgraded. We'll just have to wait and see. It's all about price points. And the two I had my eye on for that budget price point was either him or Leon Bailey.
Yes, which might have a little reveal later on about Leon.
Yeah, because he comes in at 5 million and he's looked good in pre-season as well. And he was a player that I was quite excited about last season, actually. And he kind of flattered to deceive. And they've got a few options at Villa now. So it really depends on that starting 11 and if he can hold down a place. If he can, then potentially that is someone that I'll be looking at.
Fantastic. So I'm going to pass the baton now down Bilal first. Now your turn to scrutinize. What's your thoughts, opinions on this? Has he gone too top heavy at the centre forward position?
Oh,
No,
most definitely.
Yeah, you've gone top heavy, but to be fair, I really like this team. Like Pedro Neto talked about him. I think I've got him on my bench. To be fair, I've got Pedro Neto, Greenwood, and Nico Williams from Liverpool at Nottingham Forest now. So yeah, Pedro Neto at 5.5 million. It's a no-brainer, really. He's a player who left wing, right wing, explosive. His injury hasn't, like in preseason, he's shown like already that he's coming back, and he's come back with a bang. Signed a 5-year deal at Wolves. So for me, yeah, Pedro Neto, you got to get him in, and that has enabled you to get that front three, which is looking crazy. You add that to Salah. And how many goals could that potentially be? It's ridiculous. Darwin, Jesus, Haaland. You got Salah, you got Trent. Yeah, it's a really strong team. Of course, the fullbacks we have are the same. Reece James, Trippier, Trent. I think those three in particular, if they stay fit, that's points, man. And if they're playing the proper position, especially James, man, that is so many points there. Pickford in goal is very interesting in terms of the save points and stuff. Like, yeah, Everton struggling. Yeah, I saw today Lampard's talking about maybe playing Dele Alli up front. Calvert-Lewin's injured now. Yeah, it's stinky season.
They have got Tarkowski in there, so I'm hoping that might help out the defense a little bit.
Yeah, Tarkowski.
Michael their centre backs, man. It's a long season for Everton. That's all I'm going to
say. Yeah, like I said, the shots are going to be raining down on Pickford.
Long season. Yerry Mina. What's that kid's name? The mixed race one. Holgate. There's another one that always kicks people.
Godfrey.
That's the one. Honestly, him, criminal player. Honestly, the things he does on the pitch. So yeah, Everton for me. Yeah, Pickford. He's in for another long season, and yeah, he's pulled off some great saves though when he had to, especially towards the end of last season, keeping Everton up. He pulled off some really good saves, and people criticize him a lot. Fair play to him. He stepped up when he had to. The rest of the team, Lingard is very interesting for me. You know, Lingard at Nottingham Forest now, 1-year deal. He's just going to play for fun, pretty much. And we saw what he did at West Ham. Steve Cooper's a great manager as well. So Nottingham Forest already spending money. And I saw they put a £35 million bid in today for Morgan Gibbs-White of Wolves. So I don't know where they're getting this money from. I don't know what
was more shocking, bro, the bid or the fact that it got rejected.
Yeah, but I think both sides are crazy.
That's a great point.
Crazy, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Season in the Premier League.
The money is getting like Cucurella today, like 62 million.
Bro, I couldn't believe it. Cucurella for 62 million.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mad. Yeah. I just hope they spend some of that money on Brandon Williams as the replacement.
Might give you a few extra pennies for that De Jong deal. If that's
mate, I'm not sure he wants to come even with the money. You know, he's always been reluctant.
Bro, he's a capture. Send the SWAT team there to capture him at this point. You know what I mean? Interesting, Bilal. You made the point on Lingard, and Lingard is a very, very interesting one because I've toyed with the idea, and like, let's be honest, this guy has broken the 100 points barrier in 2 FPL seasons, in the 2017-2018 FPL season, and when he was at West Ham in the 2020-2021 season. He's definitely a bagsman. He's always involved in the game, and I'm really interested to see how he connects with Taiwo, former Liverpool man who's up front, who did some big business in the Bundesliga last season. He's going to be a very interesting one, but keep my eye on Lingard. His games, upcoming fixtures: Newcastle away, West Ham at home, Everton away, and Spurs at home. And before the City, I saw somebody asked in the chat between him and Rashford. I actually think Nottingham Forest and United have got some pretty tricky games coming up. Sorry, someone in the chat asked for St. Maximin versus Rashford. Rashford's first 4 games are Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, and Southampton away, whereas St. Maximin is Nottingham Forest, Brighton, City, and Wolves away. So there's not a lot. I mean, slim pickings in that area. Oms, what's your thoughts on this on the team?
Defense is standard. The Pickford one's interesting on the save points. Like, I do hear that to an extent. Although clean sheet wise, it's going to be tough for them. It's more. I look at this team and I find the midfield very interesting with Sancho, Neto, and Lingard. Like, that's, I think, a very unique midfield. I want to ask Brush, why Sancho? Why not Rashford? Because how much is Sancho?
So I just think Sancho is more secure.
What's his price?
Sancho comes in at 7.5 million. Rashford is actually $1 million cheaper. Potentially, he could be a bargain. especially in the next month or so. But the reason I've not gone there is I just think Sancho is more secure.
When I look at the United front three, I think I know Martial's out, but I know like Sancho and Rashford are going to be goal threats. I'd imagine would Rashford be maybe the striker now? I feel like, look, I know people are coming on to Rashford's case and like they're saying, oh, he's not this, he's not that, but he's a threat. And if he gets going, he gets onto a bit of a run. There's goals in there. So at 6.5, I saw that. I was like, ooh, like, that's something to pay.
Yeah, because of the price point, it is very attractive, especially if he's playing out of position and we play him up front. And there's a chance that could happen, especially now with Martial out injured. The Ronaldo situation's up in the air. So it's going to be a very interesting team sheet on Sunday against Brighton to see if Ten Hag starts Ronaldo or if he drops him and starts Rashford.
Yeah.
Right, saying that Martial's injured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he had a good pre-season as well, and it's just typical, innit, of Martial to get injured.
For me,
with me, it was simply the fact that Sancho impressed me more in pre-season, and I just thought he was a bit more of a solid option. Yeah.
For me, I don't know about the Neto one. I see a lot of people putting him in, but I still feel like Bailey might be the more attractive option. I know because Wolves are a very counter-attacking team. They don't get many chances in a game. I think when, like, historically, Neto has created his own chances, and in that 2021 season, like, he did amazing stuff pretty much by himself at times. So I would find Bailey more attractive because I think Villa are on a bit more of a vibe, a bit more an attacking threat. I like the look of their fixtures early days. And then the Lingard one, it's one of those. It's you roll it back to to January 2021 where he went to West Ham and bloody hell took the FPL world by storm, didn't he? So it's that front three is if I was you, mate, don't worry if Nunes starts or not. He's getting at least 30 minutes with the sort of 5-man subs now. It's absolutely no problem. I think people need to not maybe take first 11s, starting teams as like gospel nowadays because a lot of players are going to be playing 60 minutes or 30 minutes.
And the thing is, a player like Nunes, he doesn't need 90 minutes to score.
He didn't need it against Leipzig. He scored against Leipzig. Look at his impact against Man City. So I think he is probably right now a better bet, speaking as a Liverpool fan, off the bench in terms of his impact. Because him running at a tired, hopefully dejected Fulham defense is as dangerous, if not more, than him running at a fresh, pumped up Fulham with Craven Cottage behind them for 60 minutes. So
I'll tell you what, though, it is a bit risky the strategy I've gone for. Like if I was to critique my own team, I would say that I'm probably starting off way too top heavy. And having played FPL for many years, I know that it's usually better to be a bit more balanced all round. You kind of want your points spread out and coming from everywhere. Another player that we haven't touched on, but who could potentially be brilliant, is Raheem Sterling.
Oh, interesting.
Raheem Sterling at Chelsea comes in at £10 million. I mean, the guy is fantasy football gold, and he's going to be a regular starter at Chelsea no matter where he plays, be it on the wing or maybe up front even.
And here's something to back your point. Raheem Sterling has broken the 100-point barrier every single season since 2013.
Yeah. Listen, the guy is gold. That's one. It's one of the things I was toying with. Obviously, if I downgrade one of my strikers, I could have got him in there. Probably would have been for Sancho, and then I could have downgraded one of the strikers to someone else. But yeah, I'm happy to wait and see how that one plays out. I just want to see how Tuchel does things over there. If they get a striker in as well, then my goodness, that'll bring the best out of Sterling. I don't know what's happening with Brozier. If Brozier starts, that could be very interesting as well. It might give us a low budget way into a Chelsea player, which would be amazing.
Yeah. It's a very interesting point you've made on Raheem Sterling, because if you look at his ownership, it is just going up and down like you wouldn't believe. Like at one point, his ownership was like as high as like 11%. Now it's now it's dropping down. You know, I think he's on like his current ownership is 6.8%. For a player who last season, despite being in the Pep Roulette, hit 163 points. And hit 200 points in 2019-2020. That sterling shout, you know, if we're here to add doubt, see sows of doubt, it's 5:45. You know, people ain't 45 minutes left to make this decision. Right, Sterling, you just put a pigeon.
I'll tell you what, the points totals last year means that it's very difficult now to fit a Salah and a Son in your team. So for those people who can't afford that, I would recommend bringing in Sterling instead of Son. That will save you 2 million.
There we go. See, this type of insight that you want to come to us every week for. Do you understand? Anyway, and bet options available for the money, lads. Yeah. Well, interesting. 10 million.
Look, that Rashford shout was really interesting. I didn't realize he was £1 million cheaper than Sancho. Like, I'm not really the biggest fan of Rashford, but if he gets going, he's effective. And for that kind of price, you could take a risk. I don't know if anyone's
especially if he gets a starting berth up front. If he plays up front for us, then it'd be interesting. Because
Sancho is more the creative type, and then you'd have Rashford going in behind, and he'd be trying to finish the chances. So for that kind of price, he's looking like a real bargain, to be honest.
It's an interesting thing with Rashford as well. At the start, when 2 weeks ago, ownership was 13.2%, and literally like overnight he's dropped quite considerably down, and now he's coming back up again. So I wonder if a few people listening here have just picked up on Rashford and started putting him in. That's gone up to 12.1% on there. It's an interesting shout.
It must be the Ronaldo stuff, isn't it? Like people thought he's leaving.
Yeah, it must be the Ronaldo stuff and the Martial injury and that.
Then he's staying, then he's leaving. Yeah, Martial. So I guess Rashford. Listen, he's a safe bet. He's not going anywhere. He'll probably get a lot of minutes as well this season. Ten Hag's going to have to try and make it work, at least this season, and give him a chance.
This is a question I wanted to pick up on. Sorry, Keith. It's about Leicester's 4 million goalkeepers. I assume after Jesus, one of those guys is going to end up as one of the most owned players in FPL.
It sounds like you're looping yourself in to start talking about your team, my friend. Let's wheel it up. Because I do believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he's on the bench at the moment. But where is this guy? Here we go. Yep, here we go. Right. So right now we have Sanchez there. We have a little Mr. Ward without the Prowse in the corner. But 52 points. I don't know, Keith, do you just want me to explain through it?
Well, let's first talk about the fact that you got Ward on the bench, and we'll go on to that comment there, right? 4.5 million for a goalkeeper. That is guaranteed.
4 mil.
4 mil.
Yeah, 4 million for a goalkeeper. That is guaranteed to start. Before we even get to your team here, 4 million. I'm going to pass it first to Bilal. Bilal, what is your opinions on Danny Ward being an option at 4 million? Is it worth it to make space for everything else, or are Leicester in trouble this season?
Yeah, well, if that's the main goalkeeper, do you think Leicester probably have to upgrade and maybe try to get a more top, more quality option? Bernd Leno was available, went to Fulham. I think maybe that's a shout. I'm not sure how much he is on FPL. He could be a shout for Fulham, but Ward in goal is very interesting. For 4 million, I guess it could work for a little bit, but you do expect Leicester probably to go and sign another goalkeeper. So
not according to Brendan Rodgers. Well, managers say things, but he says
they haven't sold anyone yet. That's why. I think that will change. I think the minute they start getting Tielemans money, probably that will come in soon. For Fana, if they don't want to sell, but if Chelsea come in with this stupid money that they're talking about, then I think Leicester will start having a bit of money to work with, and then they'll surely be looking to replace Kasper Schmeichel properly. So for me, if Rodgers is saying Ward is his number one, as people are saying, then 4 million. Let's just go with that. Then if we're to believe Brendan Rodgers' words, then 4 million. Okay, that's a bargain. You've got to get him in. But I don't believe Rodgers. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't believe him. You guys can believe him. I don't believe him. But we'll see what happens.
Brush, how do you feel about it? Were you tempted?
I bought him in, mate. He's my second keeper now. He's my second keeper now. Because so going with the 4.5 main goalkeeper, I thought it would be a safe bet just to go for a 1 and 2 from the same team. So initially I had Begovic. I thought that way, if Pickford does get injured, then I don't have to worry. I don't have to make a change. Begovic comes in. But having a starting goalkeeper at Leicester at 4 million, it's a nice rotational choice if I want to make that change according to game week to game week. So yeah, I'm quite happy to have him there.
Absolutely cool. I'm gonna your boards on your bench. We can definitely touch on him, but right now, as it stands, Omar is going to be top of the FPL big dogs. He's going to be making a push for this because the AI has suggested that this team is the most valuable team from all four of our teams today. 52 points. The AI is predicting for you, Arms. How do you feel about that? Talk us through your team.
I was speaking to you about this earlier. I think they've niced me a bit with the predictions because of my approach to it. So as you can see, I've got 3 Liverpool players in there. I've got 2 Villa. I've got 2 Spurs. But like I'm sort of going for sort of FPL is an interesting thing, and it's thrown up the beauty of football partnerships. So we've had Son and Kane. We've had Suarez and Sturridge. We've had Trent and Salah. We've had Mahrez and Vardy. We had Benrahma and Antonio last year.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this year, it was between Saint-Maximin and Wilson or Watkins and Coutinho, and I've gone for the Villa pairing. Maybe that's my sort of Stevie G Liverpool bias, having a little dabble in there. But so I can see why the predictor might have me favourable this week. It might not have me favourable the next week because I've gone trying to look at sort of teams that I think players can get the best out of each other early days, especially, and sort of produce the results early doors. Because notoriously, I'm not a quick starter on this FPL thing. I'll run through the team anyway. Goalkeeper is I can never sort out a goalkeeper, to be honest. So when I saw Ward starting 4 mil, I was like, yeah, get in my squad. I had Robert Sanchez for me last year. Did a good job. 4.5 million, sound. Defense, I think we've all got Trent and Trippier in there, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised none of you guys have had Perisic in there. Am I missing something?
I saw something that he might not even start. I'm not too sure. Sessegnon might start.
For me, it was a mixture of an extra point, 5 million. I couldn't stretch to a 5.5. And also, rotation and that. I wasn't too sure. I wanted to just wait and see how it plays out with Tottenham. Yeah,
well, if he doesn't start, I think he will get into that squad and he will make that sort of left wing back role himself. And the way he played under Conte at Inter, and then you just look at Perisic as a player in general, he's someone that produces the results. So I think Spurs, I think they're going to start strong as well this season. I think they're going to really have a good push at the start. So I can see, again, Perisic and Kane sort of having a bit of a link up. I know people talk about Son, but I think, Brush, you mentioned that you can't really fit Son and Salah into the same team anymore. For me, Trent, Salah, no-brainers. Absolutely no doubt about that. Trippier as well. Again, before he got injured, absolutely on fire for Newcastle. On set pieces, on free kicks, scores a goal or two. And then I think City are going to be quite solid as well. I think with Kyle Walker, he's a cheap but reliable option at right back. They've got a few injuries at the moment. They don't have a left back.
How much does Walker come in at, Holmes? Is he 6?
5 mil, I believe.
5.5?
No, just 5 mil.
Just 5? Okay.
Yeah. Walker for 5 mil?
Yeah.
That's a potential bargain.
Having us on here. Yeah, that's a bargain. That's a bargain.
And I know he tends to back in and not really be an attacking threat, but I mean, the way City were playing against us, he was getting into more attacking positions, a bit like how he was at Spurs. So look, if he does start to produce assists and goals again, as he did at Spurs, like, for me, that's a great bargain, because right now, Cancelo, Mugi, I've seen you in the comments. I think Cancelo's it's Cancelo at left back, Walker at right back. They don't really have options. They could maybe throw an Ake there, but Laporte's injured.
And they've missed out on Cucurella now too. So unless they go out and get somebody else, it's I think Walker's solidified, isn't he? And at 5 million for a Man City defender is, it's fantastic. You guys will remember 2 years ago when John Stones went on a madness.
Yeah.
So a lot of points there potentially.
Yeah, no, agreed. Look, I know if City get a left back, yeah, fair enough. There is a points risk there, but they're not. Cucurella's gone, so they need to act fast because who are they getting? That's really an upgrade on that at the moment in the market. Salah, Diaz was one where I'm putting faith that he is gonna just step it up. He hasn't really been involved in like goal actions, more to say, with Liverpool, but I just think he's a guy that I'm trusting more out of faith that he will start these results. It is one of those faithful ones. Leon Bailey is a guy that I really was contemplating, but I don't like going top heavy in my team. I like having one big striker, but I like going more expensive in midfield. I think there's more value for money in there. I say expensive. I'm talking about I'd rather my 7-8 million pound midfielders instead of my 5.5, my 6s, my 6.5s, whatever. So I think Coutinho he'll be on set pieces. He's playing at left wing for Villa at the moment, where he produced a lot of results for Liverpool. So yeah, I think there could be a baby Haaland Grealish partnership in the form of Coutinho and Watkins, because Watkins has been banging goals in as well. Harry Kane or Haaland, big debate. Harry Kane for me, on pens, guaranteed minutes. I know Haaland will likely start, but look, you got the likes of Alvarez, but I think at Spurs, Kane is that guy, and I think they're going to start strong. And then
what do you think about Richarlison though? Do you think that might change things?
No, I think Harry Kane's too valuable for Spurs.
So if Richarlison does come in when he's fit, do you think it will be at the expense of Kulusevski?
Yeah,
I don't even think it's fitness as well with Richarlison. He's just banned.
Oh, is he banned? Is he?
Yeah, he's banned.
Okay.
He'll be back. He's gonna throw up a bit of a headache soon enough.
Okay, yeah, because I just saw the little red thing next to his name. I assumed he was injured.
No, he's banned at the moment. I think he comes back next game, so I think there's going to be some interesting transfers taking place for Richarlison, because he's a bit of an interesting FPL pick over the years. I'm interested on Mbeumo.
Yeah,
that's a big shout.
This is a man who hit the woodwork more than anyone else last season in the Premier League.
I mean, this is a pick just because you can't afford Ivan Toney, right?
It's not.
Be honest.
This is a guy who
in an ideal world, if you could, that would be Ivan Toney. I quite like your team, actually. I like that it's more spread out and it's more even.
I just like Mbeumo on the eye, and I think with another year of Premier League football, under him, he might be that tad more composed in front of goal, and you might see the results there. So I think he's a great cheap option, really. I think he's 5.5. I don't think there's many options 5.5 or less up front. So for me, when I looked, he stood out straight away, and I was like, yeah, that's my guy there. So yeah, that's my team, really.
Yeah, in that price range, I don't think there is too many options. Like I say, if Brozier, depending on where he lands, that could be a potential option, because I know he's 5.5.
Yeah.
I think interestingly enough, the Coutinho shout is of interest. Seems that a lot of people are getting cold feet with Coutinho at the moment. So he started a couple of weeks ago, ownership at 20%. But you might have a differential come 6:30 because he's already dropped to 17% ownership. Still quite high for Coutinho. I like that you are going with the connection as well around the fire pit. With Coutinho, and Watkins,
they are coupled up, and they are coupled
up. Bilal, what's your take on what Oms has gone for here?
Yeah, so the team itself is very balanced. It's even when you look at it, it's just easy to look at, and then you look at the fixtures as well of the teams. That's why I think he's been the most points. You look at Fulham for Liverpool. You look at Bournemouth for Aston Villa. You'd expect now Villa to be getting some serious goals in that game. Nottingham Forest for Trippier. Nottingham Forest probably be a bit of a harder game. But yeah, the fixtures itself for the first week should be pretty good for this team. And the team itself, is very, very balanced. The thing, Watkins, I'm not sure how much he cost, but Watkins for me is a player.
7.5 Watkins.
So is Coutinho. Yeah, that's a lot of. That feels like a lot of money, for Watkins, who for me, he's a player. He's not frustrating. He works so hard, but finishing at times it's just not there. Coutinho as well. He will have a good streak. He will score maybe 2 goals in one game, and then he could disappear for 3 games, for 4
very
games.
much, if they don't hit the ground running, that you can very much see them to go, and I bring in Sam Maximan and Callum Wilson.
Yeah,
because it is.
So
I think that
you could just rotate the team.
cheaper. But yeah, I think Villa and Newcastle, they're the sort of like hipster teams this season. Yeah, they're the ones that are going to sort of push that sort of top 6, top 7 sort of spots. So I think one of them will hit the ground running and produce the goods. I just don't know which one. So I have gone with Villa.
And talking of hipster teams,
for me,
has anyone looked at Leeds?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leeds are interesting. Sinistera, Aronson, yeah, that's an interesting team.
Yeah,
I don't know how many players they've signed so far.
Potentially, Sinistra potentially could, fill in some of those Rafinha numbers that are gone. Josh Harrison had a very strong end to the season. Patrick Bamford's back, and they'll need him firing if they're to succeed.
I think their fixtures are a bit unkind, because I was toying with Aronson, but those fixtures that they've got is a bit.
Yeah, because he's 5.5 as well, right? Yeah, because I looked at him as well when I was looking at Neto.
Brush, no Jesus.
No Jesus.
No Arsenal players.
No Arsenal at all.
No. To be fair, I've actually made one change to this team. I put well, he's on my bench. Hold on. There we go.
Is it Ben White? Have you got Ben White there?
Yeah, so
you got 2. Okay,
yeah. So I've actually made a change. I put Martinelli in for Kyle Walker for this game.
How much did Martinelli come in at?
6.
6. Okay.
Yeah, he is 6. He is 6 million. So yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I can't see Arsenal keeping a clean sheet this week. And so yeah, my team is actually updated. I put Martinelli in for Walker, but we'll see how it plays out. I just think, mate, intangibles, Selhurst Park on a Friday night. There's some things that just cannot be changed, and that's a Crystal Palace tonight.
Okay, we'll see. Listen, I'm hoping William Saliba, Ben White, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Ramsdale. I hope they lock it down in that defense. I think they've got a chance. They got a chance. It's just, Zaha, the thing with Crystal Palace and Arsenal, yeah, like they play like it's a World Cup final every time they play against Arsenal. They've got players like Zaha. I know these guys want to play for Arsenal, so they're putting in that extra 20%, and it's always and Vieira's the manager. Like, obviously he wants to just dunk on Arteta's head and just like put him in the mud. So yeah, that's why Palace away is always a tough game. I think Arsenal have only won 2 out of the last 8 against Palace, home and away. So yeah, it's a tough game, and we'll see what happens tonight, man. I don't think people would be surprised if it was a draw or something like that. I don't think people would be too surprised.
Yeah, like you touched on, Keith, I think that's the only real fundamental flaw with Holmes' team is the lack of Jesus, only because he is so highly owned. It just means that if he scores anything today, you're already off to a down arrow.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no. And for me, Martinelli at 6 million.
Martinelli's at 6 mil. So, but I'm
not sure how much he will play today, but Martinelli, we're hoping goals and assists will come this season. But to be fair, compared to the likes of Smith Rowe, compared to the likes of Nketiah, his goals and assists, I don't feel like they've been there. I don't have the stats, but I don't feel like they've really been there.
The one thing I will say for Arsenal, though, because I know a lot of my friends who are Arsenal fans have been getting really gassed up about Jesus arriving, and I think a lot of them assume that he's going to add goals on top of what they did last season. But I just wonder if him coming in means that the numbers of the others drop off slightly. So does he share out the numbers?
Well, absolutely. Especially some of his stuff looks like he likes to come in off the right? So that's going to be an interesting situation with Saka.
And Saka's more expensive in the game this year as well. I think he came in at 8 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then talking of the 6 million options as well, this is going to be a straight fight between Martinelli and Bruno Guimaraes. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two fight. Yeah, as Brad Henry's just quiet, Martinelli or Bruno G. Well, Oms, if you like to reveal my team, you'll see that I'm on Oms' side on this one. I think Martinelli, I think Bruno G. I'm really interested to see what Bruno G does, but Martinelli, I think this is going to be his breakthrough season. I think he's got all the yeah. So the first thing is that as the host with the most, AI does not rate me. Does not rate me. 49 points. They reckon that I'm gonna tank, and the only reason they reckon I'm gonna tank is because the AI does not rate Bailey. But if I take Bailey out and put Kante in, that goes up to 50.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That don't make sense. Yeah, that don't make sense. Yeah.
So clearly they feel like Kante is gonna have a better week. So we'll see AI if the computer says yes or the computer says no. But I think our back three is quite similar, right? Alexander Arnold. Yeah. You can't not have him. Rush 7.5 million?
Yeah.
You can't get 7.5 million for the type of points that he produces in midfield.
Nah, I think that's what it is. People just need to just forget about the fact that he's classified as a defender.
You can't get that. Plus, he gets the added bonus of getting clean sheet bonuses.
Yeah,
which Liverpool last season, I think only City had more clean sheets.
Take set pieces. I mean, listen, I've seen some fantastic right backs in my lifetime, but none that put up these kind of numbers. This is very unique.
Mm-hmm. And with Kall, so with Wolves, I've gone with Sarr in goal. Now, Holmes mentioned it previously. Wolves, very like last season, Sarr was an incredible asset to have at his price point, right? And they just seem to be able to keep clean sheets. They're not the most attractive team to watch in the whole world. They play with, I think, 3 at the back, right? They play 5. They play very solid defensively. Yeah. I think after a preseason, I think they're going to continue to do that. I think their first few games are favourable. Leeds, Fulham, as the first 2, I think will work quite well. Trippier again, he's on set pieces. He is, he was Trent Alexander-Arnold before Trent Alexander-Arnold was Trent Alexander-Arnold, right? He was the guy at right back. He was, producing a lot. He takes the free kicks. I think him as captain of Newcastle has elevated his level to the next sphere. And Kyle Walker, for me, at 5 million, you want a, because people sleep on City's clean sheet record. And those games that they've got coming up early on are just they're just gonna be clean sheets galore. I think the West Ham one's gonna be a bit risky, but after that, I think they're gonna fly. Martinelli, we've touched on. Bailey. Now, can I say that this pick is purely down to believing the hype? I've seen a lot of shows talk about this guy. I've heard a lot about his preseason. I've seen a lot of him. I really, really, really do hope that he comes good. The only reason that he's in this team is that Aston Villa's first 5 games are very, very competitive. I don't think they play any of the top 6 in their first 5 games. I think Steven Gerrard has got a pretty decent run. When you look at Bournemouth, defensively, Bournemouth have never been decent in the Premier League, to be honest. I think there's going to be goals galore in that. Everton and Crystal Palace as well. I think there's just opportunity for him to see himself into the season. But at the same time, he's a risk because he's quite a low price point and it's difficult to maneuver with someone like him. Salah, I just didn't have the bollocks to do a no Salah in the end. Riyad Mahrez. I think Riyad Mahrez is going to be the big winner. He's penned a new 5-year deal. He's on penalties. I think he's on set pieces as well.
5? They gave him a 5-year deal?
5-year deal.
Wow. Isn't he like 31?
No. I think it was more 3 years. I think it was 3 years.
Okay, yeah.
Or 2+1, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Bernardo Silva, rumors that he's gone. Raheem Sterling's already gone. I think he's going to be playing a lot of football this season.
And he's what, 8 million? Is he keep?
8 million.
8 million.
I didn't think about that.
And then Jared Bowen for me. At one stage before we signed Luis Diaz, I was debating on RedFellas on Sundays that Jared Bowen, we should go all out for him. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a fantastic football player. I think he's on set pieces. He's going to be pinging them into Samaka all season long. He's on penalties as well. He is their main creative outlet. I don't sweat the fact that they got City at home first game of the season, because last season against City at home, West Ham pretty much almost won us the league, and Jared Bowen was a key part of that in that game where they eventually, I think they was it draw in the end, isn't it? It was 2-2.
Yeah,
he was a key player in that. I don't sweat him against the big teams. Jesus, I've gone with purely from a differential perspective. 75% ownership. It's kind of like if I get him wrong, it's not going to impact me that much. Though if I get it right, it's obviously, you know, I'm going to be amongst the thing. If I don't have him and he goes and bangs, it's going to be a long, hard.
You're just covering yourself with Jesus. You have to.
You have to. And then Harry Kane, I think someone mentioned earlier, I think there's some teams without spares. You know, as a Liverpool fan, you know, Conte bothers me a lot. You know what I mean? He bothers me a lot. I see them piercing blue eyes when he was saying, I don't like liars. Yeah, when he was the upper clubs, and I was scared. I wouldn't lie to him. You know what I mean? The way his hair came back, that guy can make anything. You know me?
You lied to the B-Day though, mate.
Sorry?
You lied to the B-Day.
I would lie to Davide, but I won't lie to Conte. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy, he's perfect for his system's perfect for Harry Kane. Reminds me of the Diego Costa days when at Chelsea, you know, the whole team was built up around him. Diego Costa had his best season under Conte. Conte's done the same with Lukaku. He pretty much reignited his career at Inter. He's very good at these kind of like big striker personalities, and I think Kane again, favorable games to begin with, could be that. But the AI doesn't rate me. Bilal, do you agree with the AI? What's your thoughts?
In terms of Bailey, I'm not convinced, to be honest. You know, Bailey was a player at Leverkusen who was hyped for so many years. He was Sancho before Sancho. He was Havertz before Havertz in terms of that big name coming out of the Bundesliga. But for me, he hasn't convinced me at all. Sometimes I was saying, I don't rate Bertrand Traore that much, but sometimes it's like, is there much of a difference? But Bailey this season, he has to step up. If he's going to live up to that potential, this is the year. Steven Gerrard needs him. And to be honest, maybe I'm just not that convinced about Aston Villa in general. But apart from that, I'm rating this team. The interesting thing, though, is a goalkeeper, Jose Sarr. And, you know, we talk about Wolves playing this 5 at the back and it's rigid and it's very tough to play against. But that was a lot under Nuno. And Bruno Lage came in last season and he tried to change the way Wolves play. And even though they kept it with the 3 at the back and with the wing backs, Wolves were a lot better in possession. They were creating a lot of situations where they should finish a chance or should get a shot away, but they just didn't manage to do it in the end. And this season, yes, there's talks of them going into a back 4, and that could give them even more possession. And if Wolves actually do that, I do fancy them even to start getting more goals, finishing off more chances. I know Jimenez is injured, but defensively, that's where maybe things could, you know, changing a system that they've been using for years and going into a back 4 that could affect them defensively. But Sarr as a goalkeeper himself, he's a good goalkeeper, and last season, he showed. He's worth the money. So I think, it's a calm choice. It's a no-brainer. The fullbacks as well, the defenders rather, apart from Walker, I think Trent, Trippier, they speak for themselves. And Jared Bowen in the midfield, we were talking about him. Bowen is my guy, man. Like, listen, he's very similar to Mohamed Salah, you know, like the way he plays is very Salah-esque. There's not many players that play with that kind of intensity. Yes, he's not the most skillful dribbler. Yes, he's not Riyad Mahrez, but he's effective. And when you play for, as I said, the David Moyes, the counter-attack, the transitions, I think Bowen, it's just, you have to have him in. Like, for me, that's what I felt when I saw him. I said, I've got to get Bowen in my team. Mahrez as well, big season for him. New contract, as we said. That right wing position is his. It's his. He has to deliver. He takes penalties from time to time. I'm not entirely sure why. Sometimes I've seen him miss quite a few, but free kicks, Mahrez left foot, yes, thing of beauty. Salah, no brainer, and of course the strike force, Jesus and Kane. Jesus, we've talked about why everyone's picking him. You don't want to miss the boat. FOMO kind of thing going on there with Jesus for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah,
Bowen's
and just
the only one here,
because of the ownership. Yeah, the ownership and the fact that it's Arsenal as well, bro. And you don't get a starter at Arsenal at that price point.
Mm-hmm. He's guaranteed starting every game, so you got to get him in for that price.
Absolutely. Just a quick 15 minutes. If we've changed your mind, we've made you think twice. Even though there's a panel here right now, you just think, Oms is doing it. You know what I mean? Like, bro, honestly, Oms, next Thursday, you could come here with your chest out and you could be like, I told you. No one picked Willie Zaha. No one picked Olise. No one picked Matete. You know what I mean? Like, no Palace players. None of us have picked Palace players today. We've written them off. Brush, go to you. What's your thoughts? And
listen, Zaha's a good player. You know, at 7 million, he can definitely pick up points. I haven't gone for him because, I think I could have gone for him ahead of Sancho, but that's just a bit of club bias there. It could very easily have been a Zaha. I quite like the look of your team, Keith. I think Walker for me is a very interesting one. It's definitely one that I'm going to keep an eye on as well. If Reece James doesn't play in the position that I need him to, and if he doesn't bang, I can easily downgrade to Walker and save myself $1 million. So if he is the starting right back, then that's a no-brainer. Mahrez, I think, is a very good and interesting pick. The only reason I think I've overlooked Mahrez has just been due to Pep Roulette, really. But yeah, you guys have brought up a very, very valid point, especially now with Sterling gone as well. You would think that he's a shoo-in, so it's really down to him. I prefer him to Grealish from a fantasy league perspective, just points-wise. He's very explosive with the goals and assists. So that's pretty good. Harry Kane, I did say was the smart choice ahead of Haaland. Run of fixtures, and you know what you're going to get with Kane. And for those looking at his points tally from last season, remember that he was quite unhappy at the start of the season with the failed move to Man City, and he didn't really get off to a great start. So for him to have a fairly rubbish first half of the season and still finish the season with 17 goals and a fair few assists is brilliant. So I know he's been a bit goal shy in the past. In August, he's been a bit of a slow starter, but looking at that fixture list as well, and under Conte, like, it's all set up for him. So yeah, I think it's all looking good.
And Oms, I'll come to you before we do the differential reveals. Bilal's made a last minute change. Ding, ding, ding. Bilal's made a last minute change. Right, we'll reveal that in a moment. Yeah. We'll reveal that in a moment. This is big news here. This is big news. Oms, I'm going to let you critique my team while I forward this over to you.
Couldn't resist. To be honest, Keith, when I look at your team, the first word I that springs to mind is wealth. It's just it screams it's happy, it's rich, it's wealthy. It's a team that you've got Trent, Walker, Trippier, Martinelli, Bailey, Salah, Mahrez, Bowen, Jesus, Kane. There's no standout like weakness or anything. The keeper, we know about Jose Sarr. We know about Wolves' defensive strength. That's always going to play a part. I've gone for the same. We've got 3 of the same defenders there. I mean, Martinelli and Salah, we've also matched on. Bowen, I mean, you've talked him up. So I want to see this. I want to see this guy do it again. And look, he's a baller as well. The Bailey one, I'm more worried about missing out on Bailey than I am on Jesus.
See, for me, I'm quite comfortable.
Mild opinion.
I'm quite. That is that's a wild take right there. That is a wild take. I'm not going to lie. So because I've got Neto at 5.5, I'm quite comfortable in that I can very happily switch that over to Bailey if needed.
I just think.
Go. Yeah.
With Bailey, I think the value for money there is immense. Kane again, like, I think we've gone 2-2 on Haaland and Kane, right? Or Brush? Do you have?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I've got Haaland in there at the moment, mate. But it's funny because I say the smart thing is Kane.
Bro, stick on. Yeah.
It's an easy one to swap around, right?
Yeah, it's an easy one to swap around.
11.5 million. They're both the same price.
With Jesus, it is actually, it is a lot of people just. It's a bit like insurance, isn't it? Like
that's exactly what it is. Because
that's a great example.
It's what it is. You're literally just covering yourself, especially because he is so popular. And I think you'll find that as well in the first couple of weeks. They'll become a template that everyone will have, and then you try and outmaneuver everyone with your differentials.
Well, talking of differentials, Brush, you must have read our minds, because if let's reveal a couple of 11s just to really sow the doubt with 10 minutes to go. I don't know if you got the algorithm team reveal and the differential team reveal. So the algorithm team reveal says to us that actually in game week 1, you should have Ramsdale, who we've not spoken about, 14.3% ownership, Aaron Ramsdale. Cancelo is only second behind Trent as ownership, 45.5. Nuri, someone I have on my bench, is an interesting one, 2.1% ownership. Rodri's a weird one because Rodri seems to pop up with goals every now and again, and obviously the Jesus Haaland shouts there. But the differentials, the players that we've not even been talking about, Andrew Robertson. I want to throw this out there because that price point for Andrew Robertson, when you consider how much he backed, are we overlooking something there?
I feel like Robertson. Yeah, no, I feel like Robertson is getting a little bit overlooked recently as well. Even I've seen some discussions with Liverpool fans talking about maybe Simicast should start over him. I feel like Robertson has just been that guy for years. And on that left-hand side, the intensity he has, the balls he whips in, the areas he gets actually in the box sometimes. I feel like, Robertson, if you can get him in, you have the money available to get him in because a lot of it obviously does come down to how much cash you have to play with. Yeah, Robertson's a massive shout to get in that.
I think the only reason Robertson's being overlooked is probably the people who want to switch it up and have coverage of everyone. So they'll probably go for Cancelo because he comes in at 7 million as well, right? So I think that's the only reason. But yeah, you can't really go wrong with Robertson.
186 points last season as well. 186. We haven't really discussed. Obviously, we discussed Raheem Sterling, but Mason Mount. He's an interesting one in fantasy football because I always feel like, personally, I'm not his biggest fan in general.
Same.
You know what I mean? But like, he does pop up.
He does. And when you look at that Chelsea squad as well, they haven't got an out-and-out striker who can bag them goals. So where are the goals coming from? I think he was their top goal scorer last season, right?
I believe so. Yeah, which wasn't hard to do.
Yeah, which wasn't hard. But yeah, he's a bit streaky though. Like one game he'll score a hat-trick and then he'll disappear for a while. But yeah, it is an interesting one to keep an eye on. Kai Havertz as well does occasionally pop up, but probably nowhere near enough the output that they will be looking for. He should probably be looking at someone like a Bobby Firmino. That should be his aim. But yeah, they've not been getting that out of him. But yeah, Sterling for me is the main threat over there at the moment.
And Oms, no Jamie Vardy. We haven't even mentioned him. This Jamie Vardy is an FPL legend. Only 5% of teams own Jamie Vardy. Is he going to bite us all in the backside?
He could, because you know what? Every year, everyone says Vardy ain't producing, and he always produces.
He always bags. How much is he? 10 million, is he?
Let me double check for this now. Jamie Vardy.
Better value for money around his price range anyway.
10 million's price.
9.5 he's dropped.
9.5 he's dropped. Okay. At some point in the season he's definitely going to bag.
I think with Leicester, the mess they're in, I think that's throwing people off as well. People forget that club has signed no one, and there's literally no hype around Leicester right now. It seems a disjointed squad. We've seen me and Keith. We've seen Brendan Rodgers handle Liverpool teams and see them fall apart. So I feel like this Leicester team with players like Tielemans don't really want to be there. Maddison doesn't really want to be there. How into it are Leicester going to be? So look, Vardy, he can produce. He'll be on pens, whatever. But I just don't see them starting the season well. I think he might come into it later into the piece. But again, he's a player that can't play 90 minutes anymore. You've got the likes of Iheanacho in and around him, where I think
as well as Patson Daka
as well. So I don't think he at 9.5 mil. If he maybe was at an 8 million option, I think we'd see a lot more. But I can't see him. I think there's so much better value for money in and around there.
No,
even I would pick Jesus in that instance.
6 minutes left, and I've got to say, I know we've touched on it once, but I've got to say again that Wilfred Zaha, because a certain Grizz Khan has gone with Wilfried Zaha, 7.9% ownership. 7.9% differential ownership, Brush. Are you a little bit like, could turn out to be a blockbuster? This is Grizz's team here. We can, he's gone for Diego.
Well, hey, let's run through his team quick.
Yeah.
So let's tear it apart.
There we go. So first of all, I mean, there's some names here that are obviously like we have not seen in any of ours. First of all, Dalot. I mean, Brush, is he starting this season?
Bro, it's a sticky one. I think he is starting, but I mean, I don't have any faith in him. I can only assume Grizz went for him because of the price point, because he comes in at 4.5.
See, this is interesting.
Good price.
Because I was talking about Sam Maximin and Wilson, and it being either them or Watkins and Coutinho. If I would love to line my teams up with Grizz's if he sticks with that for the next few game weeks and see how it does. Just to say, if I come out like if these two do better than my Villa boys, then I'm gonna feel a sad boy. But yeah, I think this Matt Dalot, Rashford, I like at 6.5. I think if you're getting anything out of United this season, you're getting a team that might actually play some attacking football. So I think there are chances there for the likes of Rashford, Sancho. But Zaha, man, Grizz could be top of the league by the end of today. That's all I'm saying.
Bilal, how you feeling about
that? Zaha gives me nightmares every time we play against Palace. So I'm not here to try and discount him. Normally, even when I play FPL, he's in my team. Zaha is that guy, and he's one of those players where, like, if it wasn't for the price tag and the contract situation at Palace, and maybe me going to Man United too early, like, he should have played for bigger teams by now. Probably might even end up leaving at some point. He talks about wanting to.
I think he missed Crystal his chance when Arsenal went for Pepe.
Yeah, that was a chance, but Arsenal weren't willing to pay the money. There's talks of him. He's talking about wanting to push Crystal Palace up into like the European places. This is his ambition with Palace, so maybe he's going to be giving it another 110% this season as well. For me, he's a one-on-one. There's not many better than him in the league. I can't really think of too many. Like just straight up one-on-one demon. Zaha, left wing, up front, right wing. He plays all across the front three if you let him. Brilliant player. So for me, it's a great pick. And the team in general for Grizz, with Ward in goal, I think I've got him as well. I think most people got Ward in goal, as we discussed already, for 4 million. Saint Maximin and Wilson, now that's really interesting. The thing with Saint Maximin, he looks great. He does a lot of things. End products. Is it there? The goals and the assists, is it really there? Wilson, though, for me, he's a player. If he stays fit, he's a real dangerous striker. Someone I rate so much. And Kane, I feel like I should say something because I haven't said too much about Kane. Kane still is, for me, probably the best striker in the Premier League. So you can't really go wrong with Harry Kane. Him and Salah, Trent, come on, that's points there. And this team's interesting because it's a bit of a bit of a risk, not a risk, a bit of a gamble. Like guys like Rashford, if they deliver, that's points. That's the price, everything. It's just beautiful. So for me, the team, it looks solid, it looks good, and we'll just have to wait and see how Jesus and Zaha do tonight. Who's coming out on top? Maybe they both get goals tonight. Let's see what happens.
We got 2 more minutes to go. I just wanted to go to the captains. Really, I picked up the top 3 captain picks, and this is gonna. If you're thinking about it, last minute, who do you want to have captain? The top 10,000 managers effective ownership is 189.5% own Salah. 94.7% have captained Mo Salah. Out of the top 1 million managers, 80.5% have captained Mo Salah. Son and Kane are in the top 3. This is the top 3 most captain players in the league. But if you are one of the managers that have captained Son and you eat over everybody else, then my friend, you are going to the top. And we all agreed we're all captaining Salah then on this show today.
Listen,
boring boys.
I'm with the majority. Man. I'm playing it safe. Salah 80.5%.
Jesus guy, you'd captain him, wouldn't you?
Woo!
Listen, I'll do it. You know what? Just for that, I'll do it right now. I don't care. I'll do it.
You'll do it. The deadline. 1 minute.
Let's me.
1 minute.
1
left.
minute.
Nah, he's gonna be like, oh no, it was too late. It froze.
All right, I've done it.
I'll tell you what. The one thing we haven't looked at, guys, is our benches. What has been the strategy bench wise?
Guys, I've had a stinker. It says server error 503. I thought I did it.
Yeah, it's too late now. We've hit the deadline at 6:30.
So interestingly for benches, I will go. So Grizz has gone for Edison, Cucurella, Nico Williams, and Andreas.
Okay.
Interestingly, Link. So Brush, you've gone for Nico Williams, Andreas, and Mosquera. Begovic.
I've made a slight change since then. So now instead of Mosquera, it's Patterson at Everton.
Smart move. So yeah, because Patterson's guaranteed starts, right?
And he comes in at 4 million. So bit of a risky one. So a £4 million starter is like gold dust in this game. I mean, usually you need a 4.5 for them to be guaranteed minutes. So if you can save anywhere, then it's a plus. So that's why I made the changes that I made last minute. So Begovic was my second keeper. I got rid of him, brought in Ward, and then replaced Mosquera with Patterson. And that goalkeeper change needed to happen because I didn't want to get locked in with 3 Everton, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because they're going down.
Drag your team right down, man.
Well, not just that. In case any one of them does out of the blue start slapping it in and I need someone else, then I'm stuck if I need to transfer one of them out, especially when it's bench fodder as well.
Yeah.
Bilal, you've gone for Ward, Nico Williams, Greenwood. Let's touch on Nico Williams a little bit. He's popping up on quite a few people's benches. What's your thoughts on him as a player? Or is he just there because he's just cheap?
No, to be fair, Nico Williams for 4 million is a great price because defensively he has a lot maybe to work on. But attacking wise, he's someone who wants to get up and down the pitch. I think if Nottingham Forest continue with playing the wing back sort of thing that they were doing last season in the Championship, I feel like he's going to have a lot of assists. He's going to be involved in the game. For 4 million, there's a chance that he actually does pretty well if Nottingham Forest actually deliver. So for me, 4 million, I think loads of people have picked him. I think it's just.
And the thing is, for me, he's only 4 million because he was already in the game at Liverpool before the transfer happened. Otherwise, I think he would have cost more.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Oms, I can't quite. What's your bench?
I think so. Now I put Martinelli in. It's Ward, Walker, Ben White, and Almiron.
It's interesting.
Almiron.
6 goals for 5 million. 6 goals for Newcastle in pre-season. I don't know if he's going to start. If he does start, and he does start banging them in, he's another player as a differential that I'm looking at and saying, on the other side, him, Saint-Maximin, Wilson, that could be a lethal front three. So, he's one that I want to keep an eye on. I think Arsenal, Ben White is playing. Arsenal playing a 3 at the back.
No, it's a 4 at the back. But what happens is, especially if Zinchenko and White are playing, they'll just tuck in as inverted fullbacks. So it ends up becoming Gabriel Saliba as a 2. Then the 3 that in the build-up will be Zinchenko, Partey, White. So so White sometimes does overlap, and he can help that side of the game. But a lot of the time, I think it will be tucked in. But he does. But
with Zinchenko, Bilal, where do you see him playing predominantly?
Left back. Arteta's already said he's a left back. Arteta was actually the guy apparently even told Pep, listen, I think you should try this guy left back. He's shown
because I'll tell you what, bro, because I was watching some compilations and that of what he does for Ukraine, and I was very impressed. It was quite an underrated job he does in midfield.
Yeah, he's the best player. That's why he plays anywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's like Alaba in Austria. Alaba could probably play up front if he asked to. So it's the same kind of situation that Zinchenko has. He's a really good footballer, but I think left back, that's going to be his position for this season.
So my bench, I've gone with the other 4 million that no one spoke about goalkeeper is Gazzaniga because he's going to be playing for Fulham pretty much. I think.
Haven't they got Leno now, bro?
Now they've got Leno. Yeah, true. Yeah, so I got him.
And he's 4.5.
Oh, is he 4.5?
Yeah. Leno's 4.5.
Leno's
but in the £4.5 million range, there's quite a few. There's a lot of choice this year. You got Dean Henderson at Nottingham Forest.
Yep.
He comes in at 4.5. Mellier's a starter at Leeds.
Yep, no, absolutely. And I've got Ike Nori on my bench, who I think he's gonna come on a few times. I think he's gonna be an interesting one. Enisco from Brighton. Their new signing was only 5 million as a forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really intrigued to see what he's going to do this season. And then, yeah, with Patterson as well. Patterson's saying, you are never, ever, ever going to find a £4 million starter. Never in a million years. Do you know what I mean? That's going to be a big one. But, you know, we've made it to deadline day, boys.
We've done it.
You know, it's been phenomenal talking to you guys about this. It's been really a lot of fun. Really intrigued to see where this is going to be going. For everybody that's joined us today in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the comments and the like buttons as well. We're gonna, as I said, we're gonna be doing this every Thursday moving forward. We'll confirm a time via Grizz on Twitter. Obviously, now we need to give Bilal some time to dust himself off because he's got a very big evening ahead of him. Very big. I don't envy you, bro. I hate starting the season on a Friday.
You seem to start the season all the time. I don't know
exactly
what's the agenda against us, but because of you guys, you baited
Hopefully
me into
you started just like
Martinelli
you did last season, Bilal.
No. Honestly, I was trying to think back. I was trying to think back, like Arsenal starts to the season. And all I think
3 losses on the bounce last season.
That was last year. I think about when you lost to Liverpool 4-3. When I remember losing to Villa years back.
Brentford.
I just remember
Brentford beat you guys.
Brentford last year. Like,
remember when Reece Oxford went to the Emirates and just put in a match performance. Oh, that was beautiful.
Ozil in his pocket. Like, honestly, like this is the kind of stuff that just happens to Arsenal. So hopefully today it changes. You know what I mean?
Listen, Bilal, I feel your pain, bro. I was watching United get pammed left, right, and centre last year.
You got Brighton as well, one of my favourite teams to watch. So yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to that game as well. But yeah, as I said, just to let everyone know, I've had to take out Bruno Guimaraes for Martinelli. You guys like
last minute.
Sorry, I don't know who else has been watching and been changing the teams, but yeah.
How pissed would you be if Martinelli's on the bench now? Bruno scores.
This is the dilemmas that we have as FPL managers, man.
And it's only going to get worse.
It is. I'm sure we'll have a few nightmare stories as the season goes on. Because I don't know about you guys, but there's sometimes, on the Saturday, the 11:30 deadline, I always wake up and do a madness, and then I'm like, I should have just left it all alone.
The morning runs are the worst. The morning ones are the worst because like you wake up
those changes you make about 5-10 minutes before the deadline, and then you're like, I shouldn't have done that.
You look at the fixtures and you start thinking, what's going to happen? This is crazy.
There will be some howlers. I guarantee you, I will have some howlers this season. I think.
And differential-wise as well, there's 1 or 2 guys that I'm keeping an eye on. Leicester fullbacks, for instance, Pereira and Castagna. If they are starters,
today, actually.
I think Pereira's injured, isn't he? But if they are starters,
ACL or something like that.
If they start, they have the ability to put up big numbers. Very attacking fullbacks, and they both come in at 4.5.
That's great. Yeah. They're great shouts. Great shouts, man. Great shouts. Well, look, as I said, Thursdays, come and join us. We're going to be giving, as I said, and now we got the fantasy fix. Thank you so much again for all the data analysis. They're going to be giving us a lot of the graphs and all the cool stuff, so you don't just see our faces all the time, so we can back it up with data. But no, this has been the first FPL Big Dogs, and good luck to everybody competing. Good luck, Oms. Good luck, Bilal. Good luck, Brush. First start of the season starts in just 8 o'clock kickoff, is it today?
8 o'clock kickoff,
8 o'clock kickoff. Lineups in like 20 or so minutes. That's when it gets exciting, man. Yeah.
Better turn those notifications off now then, Thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely rest of the day, and happy Premier League opening day. Take care.